Hey everyone, Laura here again, back in my kitchen to talk some tea with you. So in my last video, we went over how to brew and prepare just a simple herbal tea. Today, we're gonna dive into the world of infusions. So an infusion is basically just a more concentrated way to prepare an herbal tea. Some of the key differences between an herbal tea and an herbal infusion is going to be the amount of herb that is used. For an infusion, you're going to use more of like a cup of plant material for 4 cups of water, and also the time that's required. So an infusion is going to take 4 to 12 hours to fully extract. And there's a lot of benefits to making herbal infusions, so let's dive in. So an herbal infusion is a wonderful way to increase the daily amount of vitamins and minerals that you are getting. And the herbs that you're going to use for an infusion are going to be those that are nutrient dense, nourishing, safe, and generally have a pretty mild taste. Because keep in mind that anything that has a really strong flavor profile, you're going to be intensifying the extraction of that too. So keep it mild. So some of my favorite herbs to infuse are going to be nettle, red clover, marshmallow, and oat straw. And I'm going to talk to you about those today. All you're going to need to make an infusion is the plant material itself, some freshly boiled water, some jars or a teapot, and thyme. So right here, I've got my herbs lined up. So the first one I have here is nettle, which I've already infused for you. Typically, if I'm wanting to make an infusion, my favorite time to do it is to brew it the night before, so that way it's ready for me in the morning, and that's what I did here with nettle. And for nettle and red clover and oat straw, we're going to use the same method for our infusion. We're going to use hot water, which I have ready right now, and I have a cup of each of the plant material in these jars. Again, this is an art, not a science, so you can use more or less depending on your needs and preferences. But I'm just going to cover the plant material up with this hot water. Just enough. I'm going to grab a lid. Keeping a lid on ensures that vitamins and minerals and volatile compounds do not evaporate out. You want to put the lid loosely on because if you are using a ball jar like I am and you seal it, you might just seal it too tight. So let's talk about these herbs really quick. We'll save marshmallow for later because it's a little bit different. But what we got here is nettle, red clover, and oat straw. So nettle is probably my ultimate infusion. I love it so much. As you can see, this has been sitting for 12 hours and it is almost black in color, and I'll strain it here in a second and show you what that looks like. Nettle is nutrient dense, especially in minerals. So it is an abundant source of magnesium, phosphorus, iron, calcium, as well as vitamins A, C, and K. I don't think there's really anyone who couldn't benefit from including nettle infusion in their daily routine. It's almost like a multivitamin mineral drink that you can make at home. So I'm going to strain this out and take a drink. Okay, so to strain, this is my method. You might find one that works better for you, but I just put a colander over this measuring bowl here, and I just pour through. What's nice about this is what's remaining here, plant material, is great for your compost. That those nutrients will pass on to your garden if you are a composter. So that's what I will do with it. And then I'm just going to pour it right here in this jar and have myself a big sip. It's amazing. It's like I can feel the nutrients being pumped into my body. The taste is mild and kind of earthy, and it's you can very minerally. You can taste the mineral content in there. It's really nice to put it in the refrigerator, and after I go for a run, it's ultimate hydration. So moving on to our red clover and our oat straw that we have here. These need a while to steep, but you can see they're already doing their action. They'll probably be ready in about 4 to 12 hours. So first I'll talk a little bit about oat straw. So oat straw, like nettle, is rich in minerals, rich in vitamins, rich in things like polyphenols. It also has a lot of B vitamins in it, except for B12. I think of oat straw as something that is kind of a tonic for your cardiovascular system and your nervous system. So it's a great ally for depression and anxiety. The taste is sweet and mild and very lovely. Red clover we have here, and red clover tastes a little bit like black tea after it has been infused, but still a pretty mild tasting herb. It is rich in protein, and it also has a bunch of macro and micronutrients and polyphenols. It also contains compounds called phytoestrogens, which I'm not going to dive too much into what phytoestrogens are and what they do in the body, but just to keep it quick, they are a weak kind of analog to estrogen in the body, and they can bind to estrogen receptor sites. There's been a host of studies that show that consuming foods that are rich in phytoestrogens can have a protective effect against hormonal cancers. And also, these phytoestrogens tend to have a stronger effect on the body the lower estrogen is. So think of this as a friend for menopause. Again, we're just going to let these extract for about 4 to 12 hours, and then they'll be ready to go. You can keep these in your refrigerator for 2 to 3 days. You'll know when they're no longer good to drink. They'll just smell off. And then what I do is if that happens, I pour that water onto my houseplants because it's good food for them too. All right, so the last infusion I want to talk about is marshmallow. And I saved it for last because we're going to use cold water or room temperature water instead of hot water. So typically we use hot water because you need hot water to extract the minerals and vitamins from the plant material. But for marshmallow, what we actually are wanting to extract is its mucilaginous polysaccharides. And cold water extracts that beautifully. If you use hot water, it'll still work, but you might end up with a gloopy, viscous liquid that you don't want to drink. So not recommended. Cold water works beautifully. Before I pour the water on, I'm just going to talk a little bit about marshmallow and why it is one of my favorite things to infuse. So it is a very soothing and anti-inflammatory plant. So I think of marshmallow for any issue that is hot, inflamed, irritated, and dry. Because it is rich in those mucilaginous polysaccharides, what that means is it's going to be like systematic hydration for anywhere it touches. So it's great for irritated GI, maybe too much gastric acid. Because it's rich in mucilaginous compounds, it helps to coat and soothe the intestinal lining and restore that mucosa. It's also good for a sore throat. You can even use the tea topically if you have skin, again, that's hot, irritated. You can use it as a mouthwash if you have canker sores. It is very soothing. And it's also wonderfully hydrating because it has that mucilaginous feel. All right, so I'm going to grab some cool water and pour that on top of our marshmallow infusion. All right, that's ready to go. I'm just gonna let it sit for probably 4 hours. I usually do marshmallow for a little bit less time than I do these hot infusions, but you can let it sit for up to 12 hours. Again, refrigerate after straining if you're not gonna drink it all in one go. And enjoy these wonderful herbs. So good for you, so easy to make, such a nourishing thing to add to your routine. Thanks for watching, and again, if you have any questions, post them in the comment section below, and if I get enough, I'll do a Q&A video and answer a few. See you at Clover's.